Violence podcast. Good to see you, Paul, as always, here to talk about other issues, but certainly everybody will be talking about this. We'll add in Tracy Walder, Joshua School as well with analysis. But like I was saying, Charlie Kirk's been doing this a long time. He's not an old guy. He's in his early 30s, I believe. But this idea of going to college campuses, and often that will attract protesters. But today, apparently, much more than that. Terrible situation.
Yeah, very serious, very terrible, and I think part of a larger trend of violence related to our politics.
Yes.
This is unfortunately seeming like it's developing into our new normal, whether it's conservatives or liberals. And I think it's a national security issue. There's a long overdue conversation for better security for our government leaders, for our elected leaders. We know that Trump was shot when he was campaigning. We know that Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked in his home. We really, I think, need to have a national dialogue, and maybe it's an opportunity to come together, Democrats and Republicans, to figure out how to protect not only these public figures, but everybody there. There are thousands of students in the area, and this is a national security risk for all of us.
Yeah, and thoughts on what we've been talking about, Paul, in terms of where this incident, so fresh in our minds, covering it in real time, takes us in this country. So we talk about all the time when things like this happen, I guess.
You know, I think it's taking us into a new normal. Not unlike after 9/11. The anniversary is tomorrow. Right?
Yeah,
we got used to different levels of security. We got used to different levels of screenings and public transportation at airports. I think we're now facing a situation where, especially regarding political events, it's going to be hard to have large crowds. If you have them, they're going to have to be screened extensively. You have to keep in mind, I think President Trump is scheduled to appear at Yankee Stadium tomorrow night. There's obviously going to be increased security there.
True.
We're going to have to see smaller venues. We're going to have to see higher security. I have a background in the military doing crowd control and private security, and you've got to shrink the aperture. You've got to protect the primary speakers. And that, unfortunately, is going to be bad for our democracy, right? It's going to be less access. It's going to be politicians and public figures are further away from the average people. But we've got to keep ourselves safe, and that's going to be the challenge right now for the president. Can he lower the temperature? Can he offer solutions? Can he bring some comfort to people and figure out what's next, especially as we go into the anniversary of 9/11 tomorrow?
Disgusting, vile, reprehensible, says Newsom, in the United States of America must reject political violence in every form. You want to jump in on that, Paul, from someone who approaches politics from kind of an independent perspective on what Chris is saying?
Yeah, I mean, this is a terrible moment, and I think a wake-up call regarding how violent our politics has become. And one of my great mentors, General Petraeus, always says, in every crisis there's an opportunity. Yeah. Maybe the opportunity here is to bring people together, to get adversaries to unite, to pray for Charlie Kirk, to try to find solutions, to bring the temperature down, to discourage political violence. And then, again, tomorrow's 9/11. It's the day where everybody's supposed to get together and remember that we're all Americans and we're all in this together. So I hope that that can be a unifying moment for us all to put our politics aside and look at each other as Americans and as humans.
You want to weigh in on that at all, Paul? Violence and the history of violence in American politics, present day versus what we've seen in the past, what we're seeing now, and
I think it's an important context, and it's an important time to reflect on that. And it's also an important time to strive for better, because an attack on Charlie Kirk or an attack on any political figure is an attack on all Americans. It's an attack on our democracy. It weakens our national security. And the only people celebrating right now are America's enemies. When they see our political discourse and our public gatherings devolve into this, our enemies are celebrating. And I think all of us who have a microphone of any kind have to encourage people to be civil, to be respectful, to be honorable, to not take it to violence. A lot of us in this country are heated. A lot of us have opinions, but you can't take it that far. And we have to recognize whenever we're talking to a camera or a radio that there are some folks who might be considering this, and they shouldn't. It's not the right thing to do. It's bad for our communities. It's bad for you, and it's bad for America.
Let me get a closing comment from Paul Rieckhoff, who's here with me in studio and has been since the top of the hour, and then we'll continue with the three of you from what you've heard over the last few minutes.
For years, the Pentagon National Security apparatus have been warning us that domestic terrorism and domestic violence is one of our top national security threats. This is it come to life, and it is not a left and right issue. It's not about liberals or conservatives. It's about extremists. It's about people who go too far. It's about people who are mentally ill. And it's a problem for all of us. And it's not the time to pick one side or the other, but pick the target. And the target is domestic extremism and domestic violence and unacceptable political violence. So I think it's a time to come together around that and not look to scapegoat and try to recognize that right now folks in the Pentagon are looking at this. They're figuring out how to protect the president tomorrow, how to secure the site at 9/11 tomorrow. This is bigger than this event. And we definitely should be thinking about Charlie Kirk and his family, but also what this represents for our country. And it does represent a chance for us to put our politics aside and try to protect each other.
All right. Thank you, Paul, for all the time. We'll talk to you hopefully in better times. Paul Rieckhoff here in New York. All right.